Hi everybody, this is Bic Benedict. Thanks for joining me. This is going to be the Keres Wraith tutorial video. It's going to be volume 9 of my guide through God mode on this difficulty. But for this enemy type, I think that we need a whole video devoted to this particular enemy because the learning curve to deal with this enemy is incredibly steep. That incline of learning how to deal with these guys, I want to say they're cheap, but part of me, once I realized what was going on with them and how to react to their moves and how to parry their attacks, I wouldn't consider them to be very cheap, but they're definitely not easy. They're tough, they're intelligent, they're very quick, and Wraiths in general are hard in God of War games. And number 3, they seem to tone down the difficulty of the Wraiths quite a bit, but they're always pretty notorious for being so difficult here, and for some reason this game is calling them Keres Wraiths, Keres, the word Keres is just another way of saying female death spirit. So normally the Wraiths, I thought at least they're male figures in mythology, but I guess in this game they're female minions of Thanatos, who's the final boss of this game. So the wiki for this game, on the Wikia, on the bestiary mode, where the monsters are all listed, the enemies, it says that these are the deadly minions of Thanatos, being notable for being tougher than previous incarnations of Wraiths, capable of attacking Kratos from underground at long range. While hiding underground, they prepare and execute an extremely hard to block rush attack. When the block fails, the Wraith viciously slashes at Kratos, and I'm going to stop here for a moment. When that happens, that's when the QuickTime button event occurs, when you're rapidly tapping the L1 and R1 button, and if you don't do the QuickTime button and fail it, you'll die. But if you do succeed in beating the QuickTime event, your only reward is that you don't die. You still, on this difficulty setting, you take about it takes about a half of your life. So early on in the game, in this particular level, if they jump on you twice, rushing you from, if they go underground and then jump on you, once is all you get. That's your only allowance of that attack. And even if they jump on you a second time and you still complete the QuickTime event, you still die. So they don't even give you like an inch of life left even for completing the QuickTime event. It's not really fair, and that's kind of why I'm led to think that these guys can be kind of cheap. But it's not really the enemies that are cheap, it's the game that's making that cheap game mechanic of, like I said in several of the videos that have been published for this video guide, a lot of times in this game the game is making you do QuickTime events. They're penalizing you and making you do a QuickTime event, and even if you complete the QuickTime event successfully, you still take damage, which it doesn't really make sense, since it's a little game that you're playing, so even winning it, you're still losing. The only thing you're really winning is your life, not dying. Let me finish reading what this is saying about these enemies. The attack can be avoided when they grab at you. I prefer to parry. Now, when they do that block, or excuse me, that rush, when they lunge at you and try to grab you, you can't block that. If you're just holding the block button, they're gonna get you. The only way to not get grabbed is to parry. So you're gonna see me parrying constantly in the video that's coming up. Once weakened, the Keres Wraith will crawl across the ground where they are prone to a brutal finisher where Kratos viciously stabs in the back, ripping its heart out. Okay, and also of note, when you get the circle prompt over their heads, you only have a few seconds to get to them. I think I've mentioned this in another video. So it fades away very quickly, and if you're on the other side of the room and you see the circle button, the likelihood that you get to them before it fades is very slim, and the penalty for not getting to them quick enough is you lose significant progress, so they get a lot of their HP back. They don't get all of it back. I would imagine that they get about probably half of their HP back. So it's a pretty severe penalty for not getting there in time. So that's the race. And now I'm going to be going over just one battle that I did. It was a successful battle, but at the end of the battle, I was at the point of death, as I normally am with these enemies, because they're tough. They're the hardest enemy in the game, and a lot of people I know are going to be coming to my guide for the parts where these guys are included in the battle. Because sometimes the game will combine this enemy with different enemies and making it even harder for you. There's one part later on in the game where you have a bunch of harpies and these guys, and then later on they have the Wraiths and plus an armored Cyclops. I think two armored Cyclopses. I'm not sure if it's at the same time, but I know it's a pretty intense wave of enemies, including those Wraiths. So yeah, let me go over this. It's one battle. It's one successful battle, and I'm gonna be showing the footage. And then when there's a part that I feel needs to be replayed, you're gonna see it again in slow motion, and I'm gonna be talking about because things happen so quickly that it's hard to address everything in real time. So I'll be going back to the footage and doing replays so you can see how to do these. And once this video is over, hopefully you can be able to competently deal with this enemy, even when they're combined with other enemies. So here's the footage. Okay, so basically I'm gonna start out by parrying. I did a couple of attacks there, but I parried. So when you see the circle of illumination on the ground after they've stuck their hands into the ground, that's when you need to parry. And their next attack is going to be when they try to lunge at me. So they're going to go. They're both of them are going to go underground and lunge at me. Now, when you see them coming up out of the ground, then you press the L1 button. Not when you see them, flying towards you, because that's going to be too late. So I'm going to repeat this a couple of times. This is it might be kind of tiresome to see the same. It's not the same footage. It's just a different parries here. So I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting for their heads to appear up out of the ground. Moving around a bit to see where the other one went right there, and I'm parrying with the flame attack. And that one went through me because the parry was going on at that juncture. So here, this is probably one of the last times I'm going to show the parry. See, just as she's coming out, then you hit the L1 button and parry. She did it again, so there's another parry. Mostly what I like to do is just parry. I don't like to keep moving around, because if you roll, you could get grabbed. And you really need to roll very quickly to get the O button, because that O button fades after a couple of seconds and you're going to lose progress, like I mentioned. And right there I got nailed, because one of them did the ground pound, and she was off the screen, so I didn't even know she was doing it. So that was, you can block that move incidentally, but I like to parry it. So now we have two Wraiths left. I know one of them has less HP, so I'm going to show this again how to do it. Just as she's hitting the ground, then you parry. And then parry with that fire attack. It does even more damage. It's really good. Then go over here and take care of her. Now we just have one Wraith. When it's just one Wraith, it's significantly easier, as you could probably imagine. So she's going to move around. I am going to just stay in one place and wait for her to jump at me, parry, and then she's going to do it again, parry. And then over here I got a little worried. In a moment you're going to see me spam the L1 button. I'm not proud of it, but it happens when things get so tense and you're worried about failing. So watch me as I see here. I'm continually pressing the L1 button. That's a mistake. Don't do that. This is what's gonna happen right here. This is exactly what's gonna happen. You're gonna get grabbed if you spam that button, because when you're spamming the button, you're just depending on luck. It's no longer an issue of doing a skilled parry. So here it is again in slow motion, and here's the quick time event, and look how much health I have now. One little hit and then I would be dead. But that's the Wraiths in a nutshell. I really hope this helps.